Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well as usual and had a fantastic weekend. For myself, I did take a trade this week, which we'll dive into in just a bit. So it was a pretty nice weekend. It was nice profits, even though I got stopped out. But as usual, if anyone is in the live chat, could you let me know if we are live and the sound and audio? I mean the sound and the and the video is good. And then we'll dive into everything. Crazy week last week indeed. We got a massive drop, which I cannot say that I did not warn you about it. Mm, 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 mm. So do we have anyone in the live chat? All good. Hello Roderick. Thank you for the chat. I hope you're doing well, my friend. So with that said, we can dive into everything. As usual, I'll do the quick announcements in a couple of seconds. We'll do a recap of last week, which this time I think is very important. So it will be a quick one, of course, but I will just take a bit longer than usual. And then, of course, we dive into today's price action. Why you're seeing this pump, which I think was a bit predictable. You can see I cut the weekend low, but I got stopped out. I'll dive into this trade in a bit. So this pump was fairly predictable. I will explain why in a bit. And yeah, so let's dive into everything. For the announcements, as you guys know, if you want to trade with a 30% fee discount on BitUnix, you can sign up with our link, which will be available in the description of this live stream. And also, if you want to get access to our imbalance indicator, which, as you know, helps me call out a lot of moves, it will be available on our website in our courses, and the link is also in the description of this live. Hello, Jean-Pierre. I hope you're well, my friend. So with that said, announcements done, let's dive into the recap. Well, we can say that last Sunday we did have an insanely accurate plan. Let me put my phone on silent, I forgot to. So last Sunday, if you remember, we were doing the live right when price was retesting this 4-hour imbalance. And what I wanted to see was for price to go up from here ideally, take out the all-time high, and then get a reversal to the downside. If we go over to the Discord and I show you here and I show you the plan, as you can see, it should be on Monday. So it should be right there. As you can see, I wanted to see the move up from here, take out the all-time high to then see reversal to the downside. That's exactly what happened. We came up, we took out the high. Unfortunately for myself, I have to admit I was pretty stupid and decided not to open a short position. And that's not only hindsight, but I mean, I'll dive into these trades a bit more if you want, if you have any questions. But I mean, I was literally looking for shorts every single day of the week. On Monday, I was looking for that short position. I do have to say the analysis was perfect. When we put in the first SFP, I was on my phone, by the way. That's why I did not send the chart, but I was on my phone and I saw that we had an SFP of the high, which was this first high. But what I said was that personally, I wanted to see one more high. That's exactly what happened. We got one more high, but I failed to execute on my short position. A mistake on my part, I will admit. But then the next day, I was still looking for short position. When he broke above the daily open with a lot of strengths, I did believe that my short setup was invalidated, so I did not take it. And then when he had this second imbalance, this is where I should have executed on my short position. And when he got this reversal and recovery of this imbalance, that's when I realized that this could be the high. So this should be the daily high if you want to drop to $190,000, $120,000. And that's exactly what happened. We got a massive drop after that. On this drop also, I got stopped out of my long position that I took 2 Mondays ago. And then when we got this bounce, okay, it was looking decent, but for me, I was still looking for lower prices. The lows on the 4-hour chart were not looking good. So for myself, I still wanted to see my area retested. So I took a short just before going to sleep on the daily open, and I had to leave because I had a doctor's appointment. Where is it? Yeah, so I had to leave, and so again, I had an appointment, but unfortunately, I went to the doctors. We literally got the move up. stopped me out of my short position, and then we are reversed to the downside. When I came back and saw this, and I cannot say that this was not annoying. That was pretty annoying, I have to admit, but I just had to focus on my next trade, which was on our support level. We got the drop, we got the imbalance on Binance, and I was able to catch the low to the exact dollar. And at this point, as you all know, I did the YouTube update on Friday. We're still, even though we had seen a bounce on my support level, I was very cautious of much lower prices to come because it was Friday. That's what I said inside the Discord. I would like to see some volatility today. Once again, that was on Friday. I wanted to see some volatility, and if we lost my level today, we also could get a big drop before the weekend. And a big drop would be a bit of an understatement. But I warned you, I was interested in hedging my long position on this resistance because if we got the drop, once again, I did expect much lower prices, as you can see. Unfortunately, my resistance got front on, but of course when I saw this, I did decide to fully close my long position. I didn't like the price action, so I wanted to fully lock in profits. Very nice win, especially because I sized up a lot on this long position, so it was a big decision to fully close it and not just take profit one. But once again, I was aware that if we lost my level on Friday, we could get a big drop. I decided to fully close it, and of course, if we open the charts, I think the rest is history, guys. So I literally closed my long position up there in profits, and after that, it was just straight down. So with that said, I will talk about this trade, but I will mention it with the next plan so you understand what we can look for next. So with that said, of course, what are the next high probability setups that we can look for? And go on the higher time frames. I think I can remove the support. Can remove this. I can keep this high because it does look like it will be around the midpoint of the daily. It will. It's actually right on that level, 17,335, 17,339. It's right on that level on the 12 hour. Why did I do it like that? It's also right on that level, so that's nice. We can actually keep that high if we go on the 4 hour. We do have the 4 hour open right there, which I will mark out. If we go on the 1 hour open as well, 30 minutes, we have an order block. So it does look like we have this area of resistance to the upside, which I am expecting to get reached. And I would say that this is the only resistance that I have above. If we break above it, I think that would be a pretty nice sign of strength. Volume profile, I don't think is interesting anymore, but we still have the point of control actually just above. The reason that it's not interesting is just because we just cleaned up all of that volume that was built previously. So I don't know at this point how much value the point of control holds. Now to the downside, I would still like to see another drop, even though I did open a long position. For two reasons, we'll dive into them, guys. So we can take the midpoint. I want to take this. Also comes at $107,500. This level is already on my chart. And on the 12 hour, it's the same wick. So I think I can keep these two levels, which is perfect. So with that said, what can we look for next? Well, we have two things out. What would you say to all people online calling this price action manipulation? I'd honestly say they don't have, I mean, these people just fail to recognize weakness in the charts. And that's what I said on Twitter. Anyone saying that this drop was unpredictable is unable to identify weakness in the charts. And I mean, that's not hindsight, you guys know. Once again, I was looking for shorts every single day of the week. I even took a short position before getting stopped out when I was at the doctor's. And on Friday, I also fully closed my long positions. Okay, so I was very cautious on for a big drop. And of course, the prediction on Friday was this one, that we would see a big drop to the downside, that we could see a big drop to the downside, of course. So the people saying that's manipulation, in my opinion, they just don't really understand, once again, how to recognize weakness on the charts. When you have such an extended move on the daily chart and you have 4 daily imbalances, if you lose the support level, which was the one that I outlined, this is a massive sign of weakness. And this drop, in my opinion, of course, not such a big one. It was like the news helped on this drop, but I did believe anyway, very honestly, that we would very easily take out the monthly open at $114,000. So, anyways, if we lost my level, once again, this was outlined on Friday. As you can see right there, I did expect a very big drop. So, in my opinion, anyone that was not cautious up there, or that was bullish, or that did not even predict this drop and was chasing long positions on the drop, that's just an opinion. Do what you want, but you probably want to dismiss their analysis, okay? Because if you're not able to spot weakness on such an obvious move, in my opinion, something is wrong overall with your basis of understanding of the charts, okay? Might sound arrogant, guys, but I mean, what can I say? I know that a lot of people got wrecked, so you know, you have to call some stuff out when you see, BS online. So, I mean, again, I warned you guys. I even once again, last time I mentioned this, I fully closed my long. I was literally looking for shorts every single day of the week. Unfortunately, I was stupid as well because on Tuesday I failed to execute, and on Monday as well. So I am kind of stupid in that sense where I did fail to execute, but as you all know, I was extremely aware of a big job to come, and I did lock in profits before I got that job. So for me, it was still a very profitable week. Okay. So anyone saying once again this is unpredictable, that's news, this is that, in my opinion, just dismiss their analysis. Hello TGMF. I hope you're well. So with that said, enough yapping about what other people said. Honestly, I don't really care. We can dive into what we can expect next. And as I said, we have two main things to note. When you see when you see very big dumps in the market, so a liquidation candle, and especially when you have a very big wick to the downside, you do expect this wick to get taken out at some point. We can go in history and look at this. And look, the two last big liquidations were inside of this range. The first one was this one. What happened on this day, if you remember, Bitcoin broke above $100,000 for the first time in history. It created a massive FOMO, and you got a massive dump to the downside and big liquidations. So what do? Take the low of that wick, and you do expect that at some point price will come back down and take out the low of that wick. The next liquidation was right on this candle. We had put in another all-time high, also on FOMO because Trump was president. We then got a massive drop, massive liquidation on Monday, take the low of that wick, and then you expect that wick to get taken out. Let's go back in the future and give you some more examples. The only one that did not get taken out is this one on the Monday 5th of August. And this time I did not expect this one to get taken out. You can go on YouTube and look at our analysis. I had one support level, $52,500, which offered the low to the dollars. Again, you can go on YouTube and check this out for yourself. But at this point, the context is very different. You have a range for pretty much 7 months. At this point, when you get a massive dump, take out the lows, you can't leave that low alone. But then let's go back in time, look at the next liquidation. Guess what you had right there? A massive dump, liquidation wick. You come back in the future and take out the low of that wick. So I could dive into more examples. It's not too important. I would give you just one last one. It's a while back, but still. Liquidation, take the low of the wick. You take out the low and then you reverse. I mean, more examples. Liquidation wick, you take it out. Liquidation wick, you take it out. And I'm guessing that you guys get the point. So looking at today's price action, in my opinion, it's not going to be massively different. We had a liquidation candle, we have a massive wick, and at some point I would expect price to come back down and fill that wick, so pretty much break below $100,000. And my target honestly would be the fill of the daily imbalance at $97,000. But that's on the higher time frames, okay? So that's just a frame of mind to understand what you could look for next. When you have a big liquidation candle, usually you do not expect the low of that candle to hold. Even if you do this and you don't take out $100,000, this is still valid. But what I'm looking for over the medium time frame is for price to come down and fill that wick. And once again, ideally, if that happens, I would like to see $97,000 hit. So with that said, how can you play around this bias? Well, The second take note ideally before I cover the plan, because that's important. I will not cover this again because we'll waste a bit of time, but usually what happens when you get a massive liquidation, this is a perfect example. Usually price will just go sideways for a couple of days. Okay, this one literally went sideways for like 3 weeks. That was a very boring price action, but usually that's what will happen when you have a massive move and a big liquidation. Price will tend to go sideways. So right now we have the two elements that you can look at when you have liquidation. One, price over the medium or longer term will come down to take out that wick. And two, you do expect sideways price action. So with that said, when you have this in mind, now I think that you can understand better the long position that I took. Even though I usually don't trade the weekends, I did trade this one. Why? Because I bought the weekend lows, and the logic behind it is very simple. As you expect price to go sideways after a big liquidation, very simply, what I wanted to see is for the CME gap to get filled. And if you take the CME gap, so the close, it's right there on the close of this candle, so the open of this one, and you can see that on the Bybit chart, it's at $114,200. So when price was down there, you took out this low, you have a 30-minute imbalance, and you have two hourly imbalances. You pretty much have one of the easiest trades, which gives you a 4% pump to the upside. Unfortunately for myself, as you can see, I took profits on this first candle, and then I put my stop loss pretty much right above entry. And as you can see, I did end up getting stopped out in profit still, but that's kind of unfortunate. But the logic remains there. As I expected price to go sideways, you would expect the CME gap to get filled, and that's why we are seeing this pump. We are simply closing the CME gap, in my opinion. But now let's dive into what we can expect next. A lot of people got wrecked. Biggest liquidation event ever, probably towards 40 billion. I read some numbers honestly, but like I didn't like. I'll be honest, I just left on Friday and I just didn't really care about this move because I kind of expected it to happen. So I was a bit annoyed with myself that I missed both shorts on Monday and on Tuesday, and also I got stopped out of my short on Thursday. And I got front run on Friday before the big drop. But in any case, it was kind of expected in my opinion, so I just didn't really want to pay attention to Twitter. So I don't know how many got liquidated. I mean, I think it's a very big number, but yeah. Anyway, we have the elements, okay, sideways price action and the fill of that wick. So with that said, what can we expect next? Well, we have this resistance above, which I would of course expect to offer a rejection. But I do have to say, as I'm expecting sideways price action, I wouldn't like to go for it instantly. So when I look at this price action, look at this high probably. Think if we can front on this high, that would be ideal. I'm not shorting, of course, because one, this looks very strong, and two, I just don't want to trade right now. And I don't think it's a good short position anyway. But if we can put in a lower high, that would be very nice. Let me outline. Take a trend line from this. If we can just put in a bit of a lower high, okay, so not take out that high because volume is increasing. We can look at Binance. 1 hour. If we get to 1 hour imbalance up here, I definitely think that we can top out. So if this happens, what I'm looking for this week is ideally drop back down to take out the midpoint of the wick first, which as we just saw comes in around this level that you already have, $107,500. And if this can happen, I will be interested in a first long position to take it back up there. And then if this happens and we get rejection, then once again I will be interested in a short position to ultimately take it back down and take out the low of that wick. Okay, so the logic behind this scenario is very simple. As I said, you expect sideways price action to happen after a big liquidation event. So right now, personally, I am expecting price to go sideways. That's why if we get a straight move up, in my opinion, I don't know, I think it's a bit too quick. We could definitely get it, so just keep an eye on this resistance. But for me, I would just like for price to like chop a bit more, maybe today, tomorrow. Maybe don't do much this week, drop next week, pump next week, and then drop soon enough. Okay, guys. So I think that would be my plan. Definitely, if we take out this high, which could happen now, then I would look at a new plan. Could definitely be if we hide this one. Let me put this for now. I want to have two plans today just because it looks like we could take out that high. Lower high plan 1. Best. Okay, guys, so that would be our first plan. For the lower high, we can take this and this. Put them in a folder. What am I doing? Plan 1. Okay, so that would be the lower high plan. Freaking A, man. Remove this. Okay, so that would be the lower high plan, guys. Okay, would be this. Very simple. If you want to dive a bit more into like the details of it, what I think we could get, that's too much detail, it's not too important, but maybe drop today, come back up tomorrow, put in a lower high, maybe drop, and then maybe get a drop later in the week and then recover. Something like this maybe I think would be nice. But of course, the second plan is that if we don't put in a lower high, I'm not really expecting a swing failure of that high. I think that would be too easy and too many people, it does seem like too many people are looking for shorts. That does look like a bit of a short squeeze. So if we do take out that high, then I would simply look up for that resistance tomorrow. Okay, so that could happen tomorrow. And then I could look for a short position to take it back down to fill the midpoint of that wick, and then we could see what happens. But the reason that I wouldn't like that is simply because it would be too fast in my opinion. So that's why I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Of course, I don't mind if it happens. Like, I don't have any trades open, so I don't really care. But yeah, that would be the second plan. And I'll put this one into plan 2. And hopefully one of these two plans can play out. Would this be more bullish? I don't know yet. I'll see later. That plan 1, that's plan 2, okay? So, I mean, it's two plans based around the same levels. It's just that the first one takes a bit more time to happen, while the second one will happen. If we take out that high, this plan could literally play out tomorrow. So that's mainly what I'm looking for. Very simple, guys. One level to the upside, one level to the downside. My favorite plan is that one. I am not taking a short position because I just don't think it's a good short position to take. Yeah. And of course, if this happens, I do believe that this could offer a big bull trap before we come back down and take out a lot of that way. Because the problem with rising first, which would be that one, is that you would not really chop as much longs on this first rise than you would do that if you get a drop first and then a bigger rise. Because of course, if you get a bigger pump, then this would chop a lot more people because a bigger pump just brings in more FOMO. And that's why I personally like this scenario. What is your high time frame view after we visit the wick at $97,000? I think after the wick we're really going to have to maintain. I think let's go on the 3-day. Okay, it's just below. Could take the open of this weekly candle. Is it an imbalance on Binance? I forgot. It's not. It's not. Maybe the same daily. Yeah. Be a 12-hour. Let me check something. Which level was I looking at? It was this one. Yeah. Yeah. So that would we have a 12-hour. Do you have a 12-hour on Bybit? We do. Okay. So overall, when we head down there, I would pick two levels, which should be this one and then this order block. You have a 12-hour imbalance and an order block. And mainly this should be a massive area to hold. If you hold this area, probably I would be targeting new lows below $74,000. Think this would make sense. If you lose this, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't see much after that. I think $85,000 will get reached pretty easily, but I don't think that this will be a big support. Of course, I cannot predict that far ahead, which is why I usually don't do it. It will depend a lot on the news, on fear, on like the news, whatever. But I think medium term, this is what I would love to see. I mean, that's can barely see it, but I think you guys get what I'm going for. Get a drop, a big bounce, chop a lot of longs at the highs, and then get that drop, that big drop towards these two supports, $97,000 and then $94,000 ish. And then if this holds, of course, then this can offer very nice long positions. But if we lose these two levels, then I think it's gonna be like a much bigger job to come. So now I can remove this because I don't think there's a need to keep it on my chart. What's this? No, little time high. I think I can remove this. Nope. Let me hide it for now. I don't need it. So that would be it for Bitcoin, guys. Pretty simple. Is it slowing down? Nope. What about Binance? Nope. 4 hour. Now you have one down there. Okay. What do you think about Sui? We'll dive into altcoins right now. So let's dive into Ethereum. Ethereum, I told you again, this was in the Friday's update. If you lose this low, I did expect a much bigger drop. And once again, I think that saying that we got a big drop after the breaking this low is a bit of an understatement. That was a pretty massive drop to the downside. But you can see on Ethereum, same logic that I have with the wick on Bitcoin. This one, you also have a wick to the upside, so you could expect this first wick to get recovered. So if anyone was trading Ethereum, you have two already imbalances at the lows. And just like the long that I took on Bitcoin, I do think that this was a fairly easy long to take. Yeah, that offered a very big pump after that. So you would look for that wick to get taken out in Ethereum. Now on the higher time frames, I don't know if I see anything massive. Is it possible that ETH has bottomed already? If Bitcoin doesn't break $97,000. Now we do have a bit of volume there. You can see this point of control. If I show you right there, that offered a nice bounce. So on Ethereum, I would probably let it settle right now. I mean, do you want to open a short position? Probably not on Ethereum at least. I don't think you have any obvious support levels simply because these wicks are pretty annoying to the upside. So I would wait for these wicks to get filled. But on Ethereum, I don't have any sort of plan right now. I just have to be honest. Solana, funnily enough, it finally reached our support level that I have been talking about for a long time. And you can see the accuracy, I mean, yeah, just a massive drop right into our support. And then if anyone was aggressive enough to take it, I mean, take some balls to open that long position, but that would be a 14% bounce from our support area. This support, as usual, it was imbalances, I'm pretty sure. What imbalance was that? Was it a 12-hour? Yep, we had a 12-hour imbalance down there. Probably 4-hour imbalance as well. So I kind of forgot why I had the support area. Yep, you had this daily imbalance right there. Okay, now I remember. So you had the daily imbalance and these ugly lows, I guess. I can remember it pretty well now. Got the drop into support and a massive bounce to the upside. So on Solana, it's either you took that long position or you probably want to wait for some sort of retracement to the downside, maybe to hit this order block. But again, you hit support on Solana, you had a massive bounce, so right now it's just a matter of waiting. Could you check link as well? Of course, we'll check link. So Solana, by the way, if anyone took that short and held on to it, well, I mean, from literally the high to our support level, that's a 30% drop on Solana. So I'm very happy with these scenarios. Literally called the absolute high, and for now the absolute low. So to say that the levels on Solana have been accurate, I mean, I'm not gonna forget these two lows that we predicted, this one and then this one. Solana, I have to say our high time frame levels have been pretty accurate. So nothing to say right now. Once again, it's just have to wait. XRP. What is this? What is that wick? What? Yeah, we're gonna jump back into that wick at some point. What? Also gonna jump back into that wick at some point. Oh my, what are these? What are these wicks? I wasn't joking, guys, when I said that I wasn't really tracking what was happening because I didn't care. It's my first time seeing this. What is this? Wow. Yeah, you're probably gonna jump back into these wicks at some point, Link. I mean, at least take the midpoint of that wick and expect it to get filled. Such a long way away. But at the same time, that's such a big wick. And by the way, on the point of wicks getting filled, forgot if I sent a message on the Discord, but we can check. And I remember this wick that we had, and I told you probably 100 times in our videos that don't talk about the bottom until we have taken the low of that wick. And you can see that it's the exact same logic that we have right now. You had the massive wick, you wait for it to get filled, and then you can potentially start about talking about the bottom. But you can see a massive wick and then it got filled. So, man, these moves make no sense. What? Wow. I mean, when I look especially at this recovery, say, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. Is Bitcoin still holding below its high? Let me fix the daily open on Ethereum. I just want to check Bitcoin, guys. It's still holding below that high. Okay, that's nice. Okay. So I mean, Link. You ask about Link. You just have such a massive wick. I mean, would that be the midpoint? The open of this candle? Yeah, I think around $13 would be nice on Link. I've never seen such massive wicks, literally. But hey, what I can say is that if anyone took this short position, making 70% drop. We called the high on Link just as we did on Solana. So we went to 60 cents for a second. So okay, so what did you guys want? I mean, guys, it's gonna be pretty simple I mean, not simple. I think it's gonna be hard to trade. It's all gonna depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin decides to just do a V-shaped recovery, but that would be pretty unhealthy, I have to admit. I mean, if Bitcoin does a V-shaped recovery, then it's just the altcoins are not going to revisit their wick. But am I expecting a V-shape? I think that's extremely unlikely. And if it does happen, as I just said, that would be very unlikely in my opinion. So if it does happen, probably I would look for another top to be put in between November and January, as it has been done in the past. So filling that wick first would be the most bullish thing. And basically, if you get the fill of that wick and Bitcoin jumps into its support levels, as we said, $97,000 and then $94,000, if we jump into these levels and then you see your altcoins, for example, fill the midpoint of their wick, so for example, Link $13, then this could be a very good buy opportunity. So that's the way that I look at it. If Bitcoin can fill the wick, which as I said, I am expecting, then I do believe that. Do we take the low of the wick? I mean, on this altcoin, it's just such a big drop, it doesn't really make sense. Like, wow, what is this? I mean, what? So I think the midpoint makes a bit more sense in this case. Could you take... Did anyone ask about Sui? Yeah, well, Sui USDT. Man, just... Wow. So now I understand better why so many people were crying on Twitter. It's like, what are these moves? Yeah, I mean midpoint as well, but it's just, I'll be honest, guys. If you want my honest opinion, I would not touch altcoins with a 10-foot pole right now. Literally, the only altcoin that looks good is Solana. Why? Because you don't have a massive wick to the downside, which just looks ridiculous. And Ethereum as well, you don't have a massive wick to the downside. These are literally the two altcoins that, I mean, that look decent. The other ones, it's like, what is this? I mean, you can't do much with this. I'll be, yeah, like, I, I don't want to give stupid scenarios just to give a scenario. But I think that I've made my thought process clear. If Bitcoin can take out a lot of the wick, then you can look at your altcoins and see have they hit the midpoint of their wick. In which case, if we see good reactions on Bitcoin, then you can long these altcoins as well. But it's the same thing. You probably want to look for the midpoint of that wick, but it's just so far off. I would probably look for that low in this case. So that would be low. Deviation and low retest. So maybe like this. This setups remind me of XRP, the one that we gave a while ago. If I show you, was this setup? You can see I still have it drawn out. Same thing, you had the low, the deviation. I took that low to give it as a support. It just got front run by a couple of cents, but as you can see, the logic is there. Low, deviation, you retest that low and you go higher. So on Sui, probably I think a good setup would be this. Where is it? Low, deviation, retest that low, fill the midpoint of that wick, and then reverse higher. That would be nice, and that would be healthy. So, do you have any other questions? I don't remember us talking about any altcoin setup the last week. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. Oh man, wow. I'm glad I don't hold altcoins or even trade altcoins. That's all I can say. So yeah, guys, the main one that I would focus on is Solana because it has hit a pretty big support. So if Solana retraces, I think this one is trading a bit more logically than the other ones. Maybe if you retrace towards that order block, then you can see reverse it to the upside. But as I said, at this point, it makes sense to give all coins, including Bitcoin, as I said, just give them a bit of time because usually when you have these massive liquidations, as I showed you in the past, I will show you this example which was perfect one more time. You can see when you have these massive liquidations, price tends to go sideways. Very simple. Don't have to FOMO into stupid positions. You can see even for myself, I don't usually trade the weekends, but if you waited for the imbalances, yes, I got stopped out, but I was able to catch the exact low of the weekend, which still ended in a profitable trade. You don't have to rush into positions. New positions will come. Even if this scenario doesn't play out, new setups will come. You just have to be patient. How many people did I see on Twitter when I closed my long position calling for supports at 118, 117, 114? Brother, there's just no support down there. I don't understand what these people were looking at on Twitter. And when they get right, it's like complete silence. It's insane. Can you look at Zek? What if you have him? We have another massive vehicle. Like, come on, come on. Zcash. Oh, this one held up pretty well. Okay, that's a strong coin. What is this? Yeah, we can take a look at Zek. This looks like a good coin. 209. Take the midpoint of the weekly. It hasn't closed yet, but I mean it should close around that level. You have a 3-day open, which is nice. I like this level. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I would probably look to play around these lows on Zek, on Zcash. It's just so overextended, it's a bit risky. It is a bit risky if you want to trade it right now. Look at this uptrend. Hmm. I do like this. Okay, so probably for Zcash, I would look at two setups. The first one is that you drop and actually front on these lows. Okay, so these lows, you can look at them. This level comes just above these lows, so 210, 209, that would be your area. If you can get this, I think that could offer a continuation to the upside. Of course, if you get a reaction, don't use limit orders, please. But then if you lose these lows, then I think that this level could get retested. And that should be a very strong level as well. But I think the most bullish scenario would actually be to front on these lows. My thought process behind it is that when you have such a big pump, people want to get in, they look for these lows to get taken out, and when price comes down, they're waiting for this setup, they get front on, and then you get the reversal. And then if you take them out, this order block looks interesting. I would like a bit more confluence though. We have the value area high, which is nice, of course, but if this coin hasn't moved much until next Sunday, just remind me of it because I might find a new setup. But for now, I think that looks decent. The only problem that I have with it is that it is indeed extremely overextended. Had a massive move up in a couple of days as well. 500%. So getting in now, are you a bit late? Are you not? I mean, it's still below all-time highs. It does look like it will take them out. And see, by the way, on this high, weekly imbalance, you fill it to the dollar, and this offered a massive rejection. So you can see imbalances once again dictating the market. But I think right now, what makes sense is going to be the midpoint of. Let me remove this. I don't like this level actually by looking at the weekly. I don't like it. No, I'll keep. Let me keep it. Where's the weekly open? Check something. Nah, I don't like this. So I think these should be your two levels. Just be cautious if you lose these lows because you would be losing the midpoint of the weekly, which is not ideal. But of course it does look it's a very decent coin and it did hold up very well. I mean you did have a very big wick, but I don't have a big problem with that one. I don't have a big problem with it. SYND. Am I reading that right? SYND. We have a normal exchange. Any coins that's not on a major exchange, I would not like to analyze. You can see it's not on Bybit, it's not on Binance. I'll take a look, but yeah, I mean, I told you if it's not on a major exchange, probably ignore this coin. It just looks very. I mean, what do you want me to tell you here? There's just no support. You have no past data, so there's nothing to tell you down here. Of course, you do have three imbalances, but anyway, it just looks weak. If it wants to pump, again, be cautious. This coin doesn't look very, very strong. You would target this imbalance up there. You have that wick. You have a partially filled 4-hour imbalance. So if it does want to pump, I could definitely see this happen where you drop, a bit better, drop, and then target this this level. That's what I would expect if it wants to pump. This low looks very nice. You have three imbalances. You have a 4-hour, which would be an order block as well if retested. So yeah, I think that would be a good level. But again, just be cautious. That doesn't look like a very strong coin. Plus, you have the value area high. You have a bit of volume traded just below our area. So if you wick through it, that should be fine. Now you can see the volume is very. That's not healthy volume. You can see these spikes. It's not a heavily traded coin. Okay, everyone. So if you don't have any more questions, I think we'll do a recap on Bitcoin and then end it there. what do you guys think? If you have any questions, of course. Have you thought about silver this weekend? Not at all. I haven't even checked if gold and silver moved. Still going up and nothing. So yeah, there's just nothing to. What is this? Oh, that was the Elliott wave count. Yeah, silver, in my opinion, it still looks healthy. It just looks like a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do you want to sell? Let's say that this is the top of wave 3. Are you interested in selling the top of wave 3 to look at a wave 4 and then a wave 5 higher? I don't know. Anyways, I don't think the wave 3 is done. So yeah, silver, it still looks nice. Gold still looks nice as well. Nothing to say right there. But I think the macro count does remain very valid. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is just a very, very extended wave 5. When this wave 5 is over, well, we're gonna have another, not bear market, because I wouldn't call these bear markets on gold, but just another like consolidation. So not much to note on gold as well. That you want. What about your stocks? I have thought about selling, but I want to wait until tomorrow's open. But because for now my stock still looks. I am looking into this stock, by the way, if anyone is interested. I'm waiting for a bit of a drop, maybe fill that gap because we are near the all-time high. But this looks like a very good stock. I haven't bought yet, but I'm looking into it. But for my stocks, I mean, AMD just had a massive pump. I did fully sell this one. So I'm out of AMD. Robinhood, it still looks very good, even though you had this drop. I mean, it's still insanely pumped since April. And Sophie, same thing. Looking a bit more shaky, so I might. Again, it depends how we open tomorrow. And of course, what happens on Bitcoin. Because if I'm wrong on Bitcoin and we just get a V-shaped recovery, then I want to hold on to my stocks. I don't want to sell just yet. I think tomorrow's New York Open will be very interesting. Are we rejecting on Bitcoin? Or is it still holding on to these highs? Still holding on. Still holding on. Still no imbalance. Still no imbalance. Okay. So with that said, we'll do a recap, guys. And then we'll end it there. Okay. So let's make it extremely simple on Bitcoin. Every time you get a massive liquidation event or just a massive move, what price will tend to do is go sideways. Okay, that's just how it is. We talked about examples in the past. Go on the daily chart, guys. Look for these very big candles that have big wicks and look what happens after them. Look what happened after you got this massive liquidation. Price went sideways. Then it continued to the downside to take out that wick. So right now, my logic, why am I doing this? The logic is the same for me. I would like to see a bit of sideways price action before potentially continuing lower and taking out that wick. So that's why my plan would be that we actually drop from here. And if we do this, then I think this can offer a very nice long position just to take it back up. Because once again, if you expect price to range, you can long the lows and short the highs. If we get this, I will be looking for longs. I will be looking for shorts at the highs. However, I do have to say, if you break this level, that would be a pretty nice sign of strength. Do you want to look for breakout longs? Of course not, but that's just something to note. Breaking this level could bring a nice rise to the upside. And that's why, as this is such a big level, if you reach it tomorrow, I think that would be a bit too soon, and I would not like this at all. And then yeah, if this happens, I will film a new YouTube update outlining my new view. Even though it is a plan right now, I haven't fully dived into it. I'm not decided yet if that would be more bullish or more bearish. But I think that the best plan that I am expecting is, once again, sideways price action and then long the lows, short the highs, take it back down to take out that wick. And finally, guys, on the higher time frames, $97,000 to this 12-hour imbalance and order block, $94,000 will be a massive area to hold as support. If you lose it, $85,000 should come very easily, and potentially a break back below $74,000. For the altcoins, Ethereum, it's time to be patient. If you didn't catch the low, do you want to look for longs here? No. Do you want to look for shorts? In my opinion, you don't have any obvious resistance. On Solana, this coin did hit our support. You don't have a massive wick to the downside, so this one does look good. So if Bitcoin can drop and bottom out, so somewhere around $97,000, then I do believe that Solana could actually hold the lows, or maybe take them out one more time and then reverse higher, or as I said, just hold the lows, go sideways while Bitcoin is dropping, and then go higher. Because that support once again is a very big one. So with that said, I'm guessing you guys don't have any more questions. Are we pumping? 1 second, or oh, that's a dump. Thank you. Do you guys see? No FOMO at the highs. Lower high, that is very nice. Very happy with that. I am just hoping that of course we can hold this drop and not just come back up and take out the highs when I'm done with the live stream. But that's nice to see we're getting a drop. First sign of weakness will definitely be losing the open of this 4-hour candle. But I'm very happy with that. I'm hoping that this high could hold pretty much for the entire week actually. That would be the best scenario in my opinion. Hold the high for the entire week, give us a nice drop, fill the wick to the 50%, and then give us that nice bounce for a bull trap and then reverse it to the downside. Thank you very much again. Unfortunately, it will probably be a bit of a boring week, but still looking forward to it. Look, it might be a very volatile week. It doesn't mean that because price went sideways in the past that it has to go sideways now. And right now we can see that even though I did expect the CME gap to get filled, that is still a very big move to the upside. So might not be a boring week. It might be a very volatile one. But for myself, it's just a preference. I would like to see chop, nothing tomorrow, potentially nothing Tuesday, maybe drop on Wednesday, Thursday, or even Friday, offer us a nice bounce, close one more weekend inside of this range, and then offer a move to the upside and then a reversal down. Or of course, if we get that long and you break above that resistance, then we can hold on to this position for much higher prices to come. Unfortunately, if we have bottomed here, well, I've been stopped out. And in any case, if you guys have access to my imbalance indicator, I think that was a very easy low to predict. Just so unfortunate, I was asleep. The Asian session, I'm always asleep, as you know, but happens. Still nice profits on that long. So with that said, thank you everyone for the live chats. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry if I didn't have like the most setups on altcoins, but I have to be honest, when you have massive wicks, there is not much I can do. I told you about Solana, this one looks good, and I have a pretty defined plan on Bitcoin. So when you look at the altcoins, just keep this plan in mind and play around that. Okay, guys? So once again, thank you all. I will see you tomorrow morning inside the Discord. If we break that high, I will film a new update tomorrow to update you on my view. And yeah, that was it. So thank you everyone. I will see you tomorrow morning and have a good one.